Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, back with another sponsored Opera Omnia video. Thanks again to Square Enix for sponsoring this and many other Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia videos here on the channel. If you want to check some of those other videos out, be sure to check the playlist in the description of the video. I should probably mention there's also a link to check the game out in the description of the video as well. Probably should have done that in the other videos too. For this video, we're going to be talking about the latest character event, Palom. This event should prove a little bit easier than the previous Kuja event, and by that I mean a lot of it easier, but let's cover everything you need to know about our young, troublemaking mage here. First off, Palom himself is a unique type of caster. He has two skills, Bluff and Dissidia's Ice Crystal. Now each time you use one of these two skills, the next use of that same skill will become even more powerful. So when you use Bluff, it will then become Bluff Plus, and when you use Bluff Plus, it'll become Bluff Plus Plus. On top of that, each of them has their own buff that they provide to Palom that alters his other skills. Bluff causes Palom to earn Bravery based on his attack value when he actually uses the skill, but it provides a buff that also changes his basic Bravery attack into Bravery Attack Plus for a couple of turns. Dissidian Ice Crystal turns his HP attack into Dual Cast, which will deal 2 Bravery hits before dealing the HP damage. I'm personally not that big a fan of Palom and his back and forth use of abilities and basic Bravery and HP attacks, but he can be effective against stuff mages generally excel at, especially if they happen to be weak to Ice, which is of course Dissidia Ice Crystal's element. For me personally, I'm going to stick to Kuja. Of course, with a new character event comes a new character event banner. This banner has Edge, Vanille, and Palom on it. Palom's 15 CP weapon buffs the Bravery buff from any version of Bluff, while also increasing your turn rate when you use it. More importantly, it extends how long Bravery Attack is transformed into Bravery Attack Plus, in addition to increasing that attack's attack power and its turn rate. His 35 CP weapon does similar things for Dissidia's Ice Crystal, increasing its power and extending the duration of the buff that enables Dual Cast. It does have some other effects though. Dual Cast's Bravery hit is also enhanced while available. Finally, it grants 1 additional use of Dissidia's Ice Crystal, up to a maximum of 4, and causes the final use to also deal HP damage. These are both pretty essential for using Palom if you like him, so if you do like him, go for it. Edge and Vanille aren't really new to these banners, though both of their 35s are available here, with Edge's being particularly interesting. So Edge was actually buffed in the patch that brought Palom in, granting him bonus uses of Smokescreen and causing it to grant a new buff to Edge. The 35 CP grants another use of Smokescreen, extends the evasion buff, and even causes Smokescreen to provoke enemies to attack Edge. His 35 CP weapon makes him a pretty decent evasion tank, and if enemies are weak to lightning, Shock can be pretty powerful if you have his 15 CP. As for Vanille, her weapons are always a decent pickup if you're still in need of them to take down her old lost chapter. Honestly, collectively it's not a banner I'd recommend pulling from, but I did do one to get my Edge 35 CP. It worked. As for Palom's event itself, the main boss is a pair of Crimson Lizards. When one of these lizards dies, the other one buffs itself massively, increasing attack speed, HP regen, and max Bravery Plus. Dispelling or over-debuffing quickly removes these threats, and so the only other thing to avoid really is letting them break you. Quite often these lizards will use their HP attacks, and 2 out of 3 of them have a Bravery attack before the HP hit. On the higher difficulties, this can put them in range to one-shot characters instantly, so try to avoid any needless breaks. On the lower difficulties, you can do whatever you want with these guys, as with most events. Shiva was my preferred summon, although this is mostly in the higher difficulties, since both of these lizards are weak to ice, and the speed buff that she gives comes in handy for earning some extra turns after HP attacks. Ramuh is also a decent choice since they are weak to lightning as well, but of course if you're doing multiplayer, expect your party to aim for Chocobo and Sylphs as per usual. When I was doing the solo portions of the event, and most of the times I ended up doing multiplayer, people would just kill one and then focus down the other one, but Kuja was really good for this as he does have a solid AoE HP damage option to help weaken them both at the same time. The only real difficulty for this should come from the EX mission, where you'll face off against 4 waves of trash and mini-bosses before even reaching the Crimson Lizards. Trying to avoid expending abilities in the earlier waves was pretty tough here, especially wave 2 where there's a ghost that has a bad habit of poisoning your teammates. For this EX event, I went with my Edge, Saz, and Kuja composition. Edge and Kuja have so many uses of their skills that I felt it was okay using a couple of them early on to help with the trash waves, on top of both those characters being great for the lizards themselves. Saz, outside of the mini-boss and final boss, I just use auto attacks and HP attacked. On wave 3, I used one attack boost to help kill the mini-boss a little bit faster, and then on wave 5, I'll just use the rest of my attack boosts. Now, of course, I do have the 35 CP weapon for Saz, and, you know, it's just kind of one of those OP weapons that if you have it right now, he's kind of just a shoo-in for most compositions. Without 35 CP weapons, Saz, you might find some success with the Aiko HP regen strat working here, where you do occasionally take a hit, but you just out-regen the damage and use her as more of a bravery battery and a backup for a longer fight. Rem is actually pretty good here if you have her old K-Rula or Seirula dagger, since it changes her basic bravery attacks into ice damage, something that the lizards are weak against. And Garnet's also really good here since she can deal with their weaknesses, has access to some AoE HP damage, and she's just a great choice for this event overall. And then of course, Vanille and Palom, the other two synergy characters other than Edge, are good here as well. For the lizards themselves, Edge was my ace in the hole for this one. With a 35 CP taunt, he could pretty much just smokescreen HP attack over and over again to Zerg the first one down, using the summon to help burst down that lizard when everyone was kind of set up for it with enough bravery. If you get lucky and they both attack him a second turn in a row, because of the extended duration on the evasion from smokescreen, you can avoid a use there. You can use that time to either use shock or even just do a basic attack if you're not really sure if you're going to have enough turns in order to get back to smokescreen before they attack your teammates again. But Edge is pretty flexible in this fight. I've heard some people say that Galuf, if you have some of his weapons, or if you have his weapons for the previous banner, is also a pretty good choice here, just to make it so your team has plenty of time to deal with one of the lizards, so that way you can then focus on just the second lizard on its own. Unfortunately, with a setup like this, I have no way of dispelling or over-debuffing the second lizard once the first is dead. So near the end, careful play was pretty important to avoid an instant kill, but it only took me, I think, 2 tries to get this EX down, and I even got the full score from it, so I don't have to do it again. While this event is a great deal easier than Kuja's event, taking on the EX quest is still going to be intense for a lot of people, especially if you started playing more recently. So just take the time to work out your turn order and get your party in the right rhythm to counter those Crimson Lizards. You know what? At worst, you'll always have revenge when the Lost Chapter comes around eventually. And that's going to be a wrap for this sponsored Opera Omnia video. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to more of these as we do them over the next several weeks. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And again, if you enjoy what you saw, if you want to check out this mobile game, check the description of the video. There's a link there where you should be able to find the download. So go do it. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, take care.